we are. Let's see. Make sure we're going live here. Okay. Leia, if you would, will you go to the Recovery Lab website, Facebook? And make sure, go out in the hallway and make sure that you can hear the audio well and all three of us speaking.
I just got the notice that we went live on Recovery Lab.
All right, go make sure that our audio sounds okay.
What is this building original? Like, what is the...
It's a just generic office.
Like,
there's a law firm that I work for right next door.
Oh, so you work for the law firm, right?
Yeah, there's a law firm over here.
Test 1, 2.
So the landlord just lets me use this space for our studio.
That's cool. That's dope.
I mean, the first 5, 6 podcasts were literally just in my office over there and had a little mini recorder.
Yeah.
And I would just sit there and talk to him.
Yeah.
And then Daniel came along and, wanted all this bomb-ass equipment.
Yeah. You got to. Go big or go home. If you're going to do it, do it. Which, I mean, yeah, it looks like you got a nice little setup in here. It looks comfortable, all that.
This is the third podcast we've done in this room.
Oh, okay.
So...
Okay. All right, great. We can see everybody there. Now, we've got live stream going. Everybody sound good. We got 4 viewers right now. Okay, let's minimize this. Let's go on over to Audacity. Thank you, Audacity. Now we are about to do the actual podcast. So what we're going to do is we're going to play...
Kumbaya.
We're going to play this. And then I'm going to... fade that out, and Drew's going to start with welcome to Recovery Lab. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit record here, and intro. Is everybody ready?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. 5, 4, 3.
That intro music really is good.
Isn't it nice?
All right, everybody, we're back. This is episode number, I think, 17.
Yeah, I think so. 17.
Episode 17 of the Recovery Lab podcast series.
Yep.
I'm Drew Hassan.
Daniel Anderson.
And we are
the Recovery Lab.
So the general introductory spiel is the same. Hey, everybody, look, we need your support, donations. You can purchase an awesome hoodie on our new recoverylabllc.com website.
There it is.
Brought to you by the technical expertise of Daniel Anderson.
Oh, I don't know about that.
It is.
I don't know about that.
He has the time, the energy, the drive, and desire, and the website's awesome. Please buy a hoodie. They're not prohibitively expensive.
No.
They are fantastic.
And
fantastically designed.
Studies have shown, we actually did a deep, in-depth study of this, and they actually said that you have a 93% chance of staying sober better if you purchase a
increase the likelihood, and you're happier.
Yeah. And you're happier. And that's just science, which is interesting. It's science.
Can't argue with it.
Right. So
in all seriousness, we do appreciate all of the people who have bought hoodies. We have a brand new batch that we need to sell. So help a brother out, recoverylabllc.com. Or you can message me on Facebook, message Daniel. We got the hoodies. We're ready to go.
Yeah.
So I start the same each episode the same. If you know of something that's beneficial to people in recovery, comment it. The general examples I give are you can get free Narcan from Mr. Moore's Bike Shop in Hattiesburg. You can go to End It for Good. Angela Mallett and Christina Dent's place to find out about where you can get Narcan, and just anything that might help somebody else. The more levels and layers of interconnectivity we have, the greater we all are. So without further ado, Lake Wartes has agreed to join us. He flew in just for this.
How about that?
Glad to be here, definitely.
Yeah. Welcome, man.
Thank you.
Well, joking about you flew in just for this. I mean, I realize there is that holiday in a couple days.
Yeah.
And like, what are you visiting, like family or something?
Yep. Showing up. Yeah.
We don't want to hurt your mama's feelings, but you did come here for the podcast.
Yeah. Just for this.
Just for this. Well, look, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, first of all, I feel completely unqualified to be doing this because
You're absolutely qualified.
I'm just a kid that did drugs and now I'm sober. So
These turns out those are the only qualifications.
Yeah.
yeah. So, but for real, I'm Lake. I'm 22 years old. I was bad off on drugs for the good portion of like my teenage years, and I went through like 7 treatment centers, and then on the 7th one, which is Good Landing Recovery, shout out to them. Trey and all them are awesome. But yeah, I was there, and for some reason, somehow it worked, and now I've been working there for the past like 3 months. I'm a case manager, so yeah, dude, it really is crazy. That's another thing.
Awesome,
That's
bro.
another job. I'm always like, I don't think I'm qualified for this. How am I doing this? This is so. I think I just second guess myself a lot. But
Look, you're in good company.
Yeah.
I always tell people this little story. So, have you seen the movie? Not as good.
Don't
as
be
it
a menace
gets.
to South Central while drinking your juice in the
No,
hood.
it's the one where the guy is the con artist, and he pretended to be a pilot, and
Con Air.
no, Steven
Nicolas
Spielberg
Cage.
directed it, and Leonardo DiCaprio is the protagonist.
Titanic. No, not Titanic.
Anyway, the guy's name is Frank Abagnale.
Oh,
and he- Catch Me If You
Catch
Can.
Me If You Can. Yeah.
He's the preeminent con artist, and he must be
A freaking
incredibly
genius.
smart.
Yeah.
He pulled off taking the Louisiana bar exam and never went to law school. So I mean, this guy's has an impressive memory and just can get shit done.
Yeah,
Anyway, he now works for the FBI, and I watched his speech to the people at Google. And the thing that you're describing, this feeling of not being qualified, has a name. It's called the imposter syndrome.
Yeah,
Right.
I've heard of
And so it's absolutely normal that you would feel that way.
that. Yeah.
I think we all feel that way
Sure.
in some small sense.
Sure.
Some more than others.
Yeah, just talking about like the job I do though, it's like I really do like I feel so blessed and lucky to fell into that position because I mean how I even got to Good Landing in the first place is like a crazy story and it's like I don't know how we're gonna do this, but I mean it was a nightmare. And honestly, my
We'll
mom.
start at the beginning.
Okay.
Best place.
Let's see. I don't even know where that is. Like.
We have 55 minutes.
Yeah, so I guess we can go to like the first time I had like any sort of drug experience that I knew like this is dope. Like,
Right.
yeah,
Literally. Yeah.
So I don't know what grade I was in. I was probably 8th grade, 9th maybe. No 8th. And I was prescribed like the little like 10 milligram instant release Adderalls, like the little blue ones.
Yeah.
And I was taking those, but like for some reason, I like when I first started taking them, I didn't like them. It was like a weird how it switched. So like
Drastically.
yeah. But like I hated them. I never would take them. Like whatever. I would like my mom, and it's funny too. Mom would like always try to get me to take them because she didn't really. They didn't think anything of it because me and the doctor.
Well, she
was
thought she was
prescribing it.
helping.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, and yeah, it is what it is. So
I'm right there with you.
yeah, and I feel like a lot of kids have
That's my story to a T.
experience that. So, yeah, I would like not take them and this, that, and the other. And I remember one day I didn't take it, and it was first period English class, and I was like, oh shit, we have a science test next period, and this is also weird now looking back at it, but there was this girl, and I won't say her name just because, but I remember her name. It's Abby something, and I knew that she took like ADHD medicine. That's all I knew it as. So I asked her if she had one, and sure enough, like right in class, like she just pulled out her pill bottle and gave me one. And
Wow.
this is something that I guess neither one of us, it was kind of innocent. Like we didn't
Sure,
know.
sure,
It
sure.
was like
Your
a vitamin.
family-
Like an Advil. Yeah.
Yeah, literally, it was like a vitamin. And she gave me one, and this small girl in 8th grade gave me like one of the blue and orange. I know it says S489 on it, the 70 milligram Vyvanse.
Wow.
And again, I was like, it was a different color than mine, maybe a different brand, whatever. And I remember taking it, and nothing really happened that period. And I remember like because I was the beginning of that class, I remember like when the bell rang and we were headed to science class, I remember like walking into the hallway and I literally like, for lack of a better word, I feel like the king of the world.
Yeah,
I did.
yeah.
Like it was the weirdest thing. Like I had
Yeah.
that, because it was like the first, and it was such a high dose because like I'd been sometimes taking a 10 milligram Adderall. Now I
Right.
just took a 70 milligram Vyvanse. And yeah, I remember just walking out there being like, "Oh my god, like, why haven't I been doing this the whole time?"
Exactly.
I was like, bingo, like this is it. I was like, I'm gonna make straight A's. Like everybody's gonna love me because I was so like, I just can remember that vividly. Like I remember it felt like I was like playing Xbox, and then like I plugged an HDMI cord into the back of it, and
Right,
it
right,
like
right.
everything was like
Yeah.
enhanced, like. Everything was better, like everything
No
besides eating food.
Right,
but,
right.
But for real, like I just felt like super like more not even outgoing, but like, and I probably am doing it right now, but like I like will sometimes stutter over my words, and I felt like it stopped that. Like I was just talking smoothly and doing everything the right way, and
Everything was clicking.
everything like everything was perfect, and I just had that like full body, like I felt so good. So that's when when I realized, okay, taking this will make me go from A to B, and B's really good.
Right.
So like that's when I had that like that thing that clicked or whatever, and I don't know. I feel like my mom will probably see that and be like, "Oh, if I never would have put him on,
Dude, my parents are probably watching right now, and my mom says it all the time. I'm so sorry
I
that we got
know.
you on that. Like, mom, no, literally, yes, that was the beginning of that, and that did prime me for a methamphetamine addiction.
Yeah.
Absolutely, 100%. But without all of those trials and tribulations that I experienced through all of those medications, I
Yeah.
wouldn't have experienced all the fucking shit that I did.
Yeah.
And from that shit, I was able to learn and turn into somebody that I'm actually genuinely proud of.
Proud of, amen.
So I am very thankful. Could it have been a little bit different? And who knows what my life would have been like without those?
Yeah.
But everything is kind of lined up to where
Yep.
I don't feel ashamed
Yeah.
at all
For sure.
about anything today.
Yeah.
And it's because I have that experience.
Yeah. And I don't even know. I mean, I feel like even if I wouldn't have been put on that medicine, I was always like naturally kind of like wanting to get into something. So I feel like I would have figured it out.
Yeah,
I would
yeah.
I would have ended up getting into it in some way or whatever. But
Yeah, it's just what happened.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so from there, like that was like 8th grade. From there, and then like from the rest of my high school years, like it was that like I became like it went from like taking a 70 milligram Vyvanse every day, and that was it. And I would start doing that, and I instantly ran through the bottle of that 10 milligram. Like I
Right.
went through those. So I was kind of start taking it more, and
What grade was this? You said 8th grade?
it was 8th grade, yeah. And I was it was funny, like the only like drugs I did during that time, like consecutive, like was amphetamines,
Right.
and I would smoke weed like on the weekends. Try not to, because like I went to a private school and they like randomly drug tested or whatever, which that I did get drug tested twice, and both times I did like pop for amphetamines, but not weed. So I guess I wasn't smoking it that much. So Adderall and Vyvanse and any other type of ADHD pill,
Stimulant.
yeah, I could get. That's what I was taking, and also it kind of was at the point where like I knew I was probably using it too much, but I didn't really think it was like I didn't think I'm like, oh, I'm doing drugs. Like I wasn't.
Right. It
I
was
wouldn't-
innocent.
Yeah, like I was getting them from like girls in my class, guys in my class, and like I also had like a prescription for it, which like I said, I started to like abuse it a little bit more, like taking it more like throughout the day or like just stuff like that. But overall, like I wasn't going to downtown Jackson and going in the hood and getting
Right.
I wasn't buying drugs. So I will say like what introduced me into like the like drug scene or whatever, I guess is that. But like when you start like buying weed from an actual drug dealer,
You're exposed to that
yeah,
world.
you start. And again, I say like that was the only drugs I did. I would like randomly every now and then like I probably like tried Xanax like 2, 3, 4
Sure,
times, or
sure.
like got like a little like 5 milligram like oxy or what, just nothing like for real.
Right.
But yeah, that was the only thing. And so by time I got to my senior year, I was like very like, because it just slowly progressed. Because tolerance with that,
Right.
It goes like, so like I was taking like a lot. Like I'm talking like I would say like my senior year, I could take like up to like 300 milligrams of like Adderall pills a day.
Oh my God.
Like I'm like seriously, it was bad.
It's
like
a miracle your heart didn't explode.
I know that's what I'm saying. I remember just feeling like that super tight feeling in my chest, and it didn't give me that like full wave of like pure heaven like it used to. It just
Right,
wasn't
right.
that. I just did it so I could be awake, and I guess I was just addicted to doing it.
Right.
The process and the all that.
Did you ever, while you were pretty heavily hitting it, did you ever like feel guilty or for some reason not be able to get it and go a few days without it and realize that like, holy shit, like I have no energy whatsoever.
Yeah, no,
like I
100%.
cannot function.
Yeah, yeah. So once I got like to like 11th grade in my senior year, like at that point I knew like okay, I'm doing something wrong. Just like eighth, ninth, half of 10th, I just was like, to me, I was just taking an ADHD medicine,
Right,
and I
right,
would,
right.
yeah, sure, I would take it a little bit more than I should, but it helps me focus or like do things I liked better. So it. But once I got to 11th grade and 12th grade, like I knew I was doing something bad.
Right,
I knew
right,
I
right.
was like abusing medication. I knew I was getting like a high from it. I knew I seeked it out. I bought it. I bought whole prescription bottles from my friends, or like a lot of them were still going through the phase that I was. Like they didn't really like their meds, and their mom had them prescribed, so
Right.
they would just give it to me. Like
Right, right.
I can remember people just handing me like prescription bottles full of like, and I remember his name too, but I don't want to just
Yeah,
throw
that's
these
not
pe-
blast.
Yeah, but like specifically, like them handing me like a full bottle of the little orange like
yeah, yeah.
little
The
yeah,
20s.
yeah, the 20 milligram, like just handing them to me, like they were just giving them out. So I feel like, and also everybody was on it, like everybody, and I went to
Still today.
yeah,
Like,
I mean, I went to Jackson Prep, so it's a private school.
Right.
So like it's pretty what's the word, like demanding. So I mean, everybody's on stimulants, and
Right.
but not everybody was doing it how I ended up doing it.
Right.
Because I mean, you can ask my mom this. Like, it's not like I was some excellent student. Straight, like it didn't. Like I wasn't.
Right.
Like
right.
at all. Like
Right,
I was taking it, and I would go upstairs and get like zoned in on my computer, and I like got into a little thing. Like I was like producing like beats and like selling them. So that it would make me just get up there, and I would be sitting there looking at my screen, like grinding my jaw, like
Right,
just like
right.
in the zone, like and seriously, like that was like my happy place, like being there upstairs by myself in my room on my computer on a shit ton of Adderall,
Right.
and just like by myself, just doing that. I would be up there like for
Hours.
hours, like
Yeah.
hours and hours and hours, like from
Tweaking.
like yes,
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
like straight up like tweaking.
It's exactly what it is.
Yeah, and like from four in the afternoon when I got home from school, like all the way until like 5 in the mornings, and I'd get like an hour sleep before school. So I was like bad off.
After you realized when you were later on in high school that maybe your pattern of taking the pills was problematic, did you how did that impact your use going forward?
I don't know.
Like I've got something in my mind that I'm thinking about, but I don't want to put words in your mouth, and I just kind of want to hear what you like. You come to this realization, like the administration of these medications is problematic. What happened after you made that first realization?
Well, like I was saying earlier, like I feel like I was naturally like kind of like wanting to get into something, kind of rebellious. Like and like at the end of my senior year, and like when I graduated high school, and like that little gap going into college, and especially the beginning of my college, because that's where it gets like way worse. Like I kind of like embraced, and this is so like corny and cringy looking back on it, but like I kind of embraced like this like junkie pride, like you know what I mean, like
Right,
yeah,
right,
fuck
right.
with me, I'm the
Right.
you know, like
I'm from the streets, boy.
I'm not even like that, but like I do drugs, like you know
Yeah.
what I mean, like, and it's terrible. Like people knew me as that, like
Same here.
I did drugs, and I guess like nobody can say anything about it if you embrace it. You know what I mean? Like
Right,
I'll
right.
get me before you can get me, type of thing.
Exactly.
So I was kind of like, yeah, I embraced that. So and again, I did start smoking weed like frequently. My 11th grade and senior year, which is weird because I never even really liked weed. I just did it.
Well, it competes with the stimulant.
Yeah,
you know?
like it would. I would smoke weed just at the end of the day. But anyways, so where it like actually gets like it was bad, obviously, but
you make it through high school.
make it through high school.
Where do you go to college?
I went to Mississippi State, and man, it was bad. Like, so when I get to Mississippi State, when I graduate from pills, I was taking like I said, like it could be up to like 300 milligrams of Adderall a day. That gets expensive.
Absolutely.
Eventually, it starts getting expensive because you leave high school and now you're in college, and kids realize there's some money in selling those things. So like people sell Adderall for $5 a pill, and I was
Right.
like, and I was taking so much of it.
Bro,
And-
we've all been there.
Yeah,
yeah,
like
yeah.
where you're spending a lot on pills, and then you find out, oh, I can buy the real thing for
Right.
way cheaper,
Right,
which
right.
ends up with opiates as well. But oh, and also this is funny, like throughout or like senior year and into college, I never messed with any sort of downer ever. I was just stimulants. It changed, but I always thought that was weird. Like I don't know what changed. I guess I don't know, but I like I was like I do not do downers. Like I'm
Were
like
you were you proud of that?
yeah, it was kind of like yeah, I don't know why, but like
Yeah.
I'm not taking it and just nodding off.
I'm
off
not like
sleep,
that guy, like-
yeah, like
I'm getting shit done.
yeah,
right,
literally
right.
just like that.
I'm
Yeah.
dropping mad beats.
Yeah, exactly like that. Like I had
sure.
that like yeah, like I'm taking
The Beastie Boy of Starkville.
I'm productive,
Right,
but I
right.
wasn't whatever. I can't remember who or how or oh yes I do. Okay, so somebody in Flowood that I knew that was selling me weed when I was in high school and when I was in Flowood, he posted on Snapchat that he had some Molly, okay? And I'd been to like raves and stuff in New Orleans a couple times,
Right.
but like I still didn't really. I was just doing like a bunch of Adderall when I was there too. But he told me he had Molly, so me and my friend drove from Starkville all the way to Flowood like in a day.
I would have driven.
Oh, yeah.
Starkville
I'd go to
Yeah.
Mexico if I
all
had
the way.
to.
I'd be like, shit, I hear you, fella.
Yeah.
I'm on the way, man.
I know, so I'd
Be there in a half hour.
right.
and okay, so it's like side note that I'm in college at this point. The summer going into college, I had been going to New Orleans and stuff, and I did take like an X pill here and there. You know what I mean? Like the little like press, and usually it's just amphetamine or methamphetamine pressed into a pill.
Right.
But like people say like, oh, this is ecstasy, this is Molly, blah blah blah. So when he said, you know, yeah, it's Molly, I was like, oh, that's dope. That stuff's fire. Like I had a good time when I did it then. So, and this was like, it wasn't like a pressed pill. Like he had like the like shards like that,
Oh,
the
wow.
Molly.
Wow, wow, wow.
And so I'm like, okay, dope. We go in there, we get some, and I remember we take it, and like we're driving back to Starkville, and like I am absolutely floored. Like I remember we just crushed up and put it in a piece of toilet paper and swallowed, like parachuted it,
Whoa.
and I was like thrashed. Like I've never. My pupils were like jet black dinner plates, and I was like, holy crap. Anyways, like 4 days later, I still hadn't slept, and I'm like, I don't think that was Molly.
Right, right.
Like I was not rolling, so to speak. Like I was tweaked. Like I was like, again, that day was similar to the first time I ever took the 70 milligram Vyvanse. It was like I had that moment again. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm the king of the world.
Right,
really,
right.
I'm a skinny kid tweaked out. Like
Right.
dinner plates of eyes and so
You're in there.
yeah, I was and it that like it had been a couple days, hadn't slept, like I'd been like just like all like gross. I remember just being greasy and like sweaty up in my dorm room, like hadn't left, never went to class, like but I was tweaking the whole time and I felt awesome. It was just like the first time I took
Right.
that pill.
It's
Same
like a
thing.
welcome friend coming
Yes,
back.
it was. It was that same like feeling of like this is dope. Like and I hadn't had that for a long time because again I'd just been like taking a bunch of Adderall just to kind of like
Maintain.
yeah just
Exactly.
feel like energetic or whatever, but not really. So it had that feeling again. So I'm like that. I don't think that wasn't Molly because I'd been up so long and I'd been like Molly's one of those drugs that like you can't keep doing it. You
Right.
know it like doesn't it floors your serotonin and it just messes up. So like you can't keep doing it and getting high on Molly.
Right.
This stuff I was like getting high. So it 100% was meth. I confronted the dude. He said, yeah, it was some meth. I mixed it with some Molly, this, that. But at that point, I was like, well, shit, because I don't think I ever would have gone out initially and bought meth. I don't think I would have. Maybe I would have. But I thought I was buying Molly. I bought it. I did it. I'd been up for so long. He tells me, Yeah, it's meth basically. I was like, well, shit, I'm here now,
I've already done it.
and
Like,
I feel awesome.
Right.
I looked terrible. That was the worst probably I'd ever looked, just because I had just discovered it and I didn't eat for those 4 days, greasy, nasty. But yeah, I was there. So from that point on, I was like making like hauls from Starkville to Flowwood to get it. I was picking it up, bringing it back. My homie would do it sometimes, but he kind of knew what it was, and he was kind of like, "Bro, I'm not."
sketched out about
Yeah,
it.
like he would do it, and he partied too, but like I don't know. I guess I don't know what made me like. I don't know why, but I just remember him being kind of like put off with it. And it was weird because he still would sometimes do it, but he wasn't like in it. Like I'm doing this now. Like this is my thing. I'm doing it.
Right.
And
I'm gonna go to whatever. I'm gonna do whatever I have to do.
yeah, and I did. Let's see. I was only, and it got bad because I was doing it. And once you're doing meth, like it's just obviously completely different than Adderall. Like it's the same, but it's like it's just so much more.
Well,
like,
look, one's a Honda Accord.
Yes.
And one's a Lamborghini.
yeah, mhm,
I mean,
exactly. Like
look, my introduction to meth is not too dissimilar from what you're saying.
yeah,
You know, I went to it was somewhere I shouldn't have been.
hmm
Somebody had some. I'd never done it. I thought, well, yeah, I've done a lot of coke. It's fine.
Yeah.
And I snorted a bunch of it, and I thought, yeah, okay, that's fine. You know, and 5 minutes later, I thought, okay, I dig it. And then 5 minutes after that, I knew it was the worst mistake I'd ever made.
Right.
You know, the shit's addictive because it feels good.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And it does feel good.
Right.
Let's make no bones about it.
yeah.
All right, so you're somewhere in your first year and a half of college.
No.
Look, you're not going to turn into a pumpkin if we go over 55.
So no,
Right,
I'm not.
right.
I keep my watch keeps vibrating. Not instinctively look, but I'm not gonna.
I
do
feel
it
you.
anyway.
All right,
But no.
What
So
happens? How long are you going from Starkville to who
Okay.
must be the riskiest drug dealer on earth selling meth in Rankin County?
Yeah.
it's in like the Jackson. It's on what's the road called? I haven't been here in so long. When you're going down Lakeland, you turn right into like
Fortification.
Ridgewood
Road, right there.
Oh,
Ridgewood.
yeah.
I could spit out that dude's address too because I know it.
Right.
But
We don't need to go.
yeah,
Yeah.
we're
No.
not- so I was only in college for, you said year and a half, and I had to pump the brakes. I was only in college for like 2.5 months.
Yeah.
Literally like the
Well,
second.
it's hard to do meth the way you're describing and not have the wheels come off your personal life.
Right.
Very
Like
quickly.
it will be obvious to any person.
Yeah.
With, you know.
And I hadn't gone to like any school. And also once I started doing this, I kind of started getting into like I was just like way out there. Like I was doing a bunch of like whippets and like tweaking out on meth and like doing
Whippets?
yeah, like you know what I mean. And
I do know what
Womp,
you mean.
womp,
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 womp.
the womps, yeah.
Yeah.
But like I kind of got introduced to that, but like through like going to the raves in New Orleans.
I've been to one of the. It was a serious event.
Yeah,
I mean,
So you're rocking out to Bass Nectar all day.
yeah, literally. Like I was just getting more like I feel like dirty and grimy. Like I would just like I don't know. I just felt
You didn't just feel that way. You probably
I
were.
was. I was. And like when I look back, and this isn't even like this is bad, but like it gets like obviously how it does, it gets progressively worse.
Right.
So I'll just kind of fast forward. I end up telling my mom that I'm like, yo, I need to come home. Like this is not good. I'm not actually going to college. And they all knew that they had to have known. Everybody knew. But they couldn't really like. I remember my dad sometimes like calling me and like saying, you have to go get a drug test at this place. Like go right now. I talked to them. They're going to send me the results. But like when you do that, like you have time to prep. Like I got one of my homies to piss in a 5-hour energy bottle. I'd put it in my gooch, warm it up.
Man, I feel you, bro. I've been there.
You know what I mean?
It's Whizzinator time.
Yes, the Whizzinator. Seriously, all that stuff. You pass, all that.
Right.
But yeah, like that time I got my friend that was like a dorm over to pee in a 5-hour energy thing, and I put it in the microwave for a second, put it in my gooch, and went in there and did that. I was like, see, Dad, I'm not on drugs. And I was like, if you could see a picture of me, it's embarrassing. It really is. I was bad.
Look, I bought a web address off GoDaddy. There's a place here in town called it's a drug testing
LabCorp.
It's not LabCorp. It's MedScreen.
Oh yeah.
Where's
So
that?
I
On Lakeland?
bought so it's MedScreen Inc. and I bought or maybe it's MedScreens Inc. And I bought the URL MedScreen Inc. so that I could dummy up drug
my
test
God.
results
No, you did
and
not.
email them from office at MedScreensInc.com.
Dude,
Wow.
that is awesome. And like that's
Look,
far.
I felt like I
that's-
was doing some next level shit. Really.
That
Like,
is.
my ex-wife can kiss my ass. I got something for you.
Bro, that is crazy. I've never heard that one.
Dude,
before.
that is next level. I would have never thought of doing that.
Me neither.
bro.
That's awesome.
I
That
did
is.
some shady shit, but
That's
that's smart.
Sorry, Mama. I don't think I told you that story.
a good one. I've never heard that before.
Wow.
But
All right, so you fess up. I mean, I know what you're feeling. You're like I intuit that my life is coming apart here.
and also I felt bad because like my mom. This is funny too. My mom would like I was on Life 360. She don't know.
Right.
So my mom could see me being either at the dorm or at class. So what I would do is, and my mom knows this, I've told her and whatever, but I would get in my car and I would drive to the building my class was in. I'd sit in the car and like tweak out on my computer. I would just sit in my parking lot on my computer and like make beats, just go around, like just do whatever I do on my computer. Also, I was like,
Our poor family.
I know.
mean,
And I
really.
was like really into like this was also part of the addiction for me, but like I was obsessed with like researching drugs. Like I was just like a drug nerd. Like
Right.
I like to know like all the different analogs and the chemicals and what does
I can
what.
see you sitting around watching. What's the guy's name? Harrison. From Vice.
Oh, you're talking about
you know, I'd guarantee you.
no
know what I'm
no
talking about.
no
little skinny guy,
yes,
super nerdy.
I
Wears
almost
the
said it.
glasses.
Hamilton.
Hamilton.
Hamilton's Pharmacopoeia.
yeah,
Oh yeah, him exactly. I was like, man, this dude has the dopest job.
yeah.
But yeah, I was like
He
super.
sees the Matrix.
Yeah, I was like super. Do a laughing
Waka,
thing.
waka, waka.
I didn't even know we had that option.
Look, this thing's fancy.
Yeah, I can tell. It looks awesome.
All right, so you tell your mom, you come home.
I don't tell her I'm doing drugs. I'm still passing off. I was like, hey, see, I'm passing these drug tests. They knew there's no way that.
Oh, you're going with I think a mental health distress.
Seriously, like-
something that's not my fault.
Right.
No,
right, right,
exactly.
right,
that. I remember telling my mom, I was like, you know, I'm really depressed because I was really like deep and like dark. Like I was in just a bad spot. Like I remember like going out to my car too, like in the like parking area with like where all the students park. It'd be like 4 a.m. I'd be like in my Forerunner. I had this pink bong. Now I'd just be sitting in there like super sad, just like smoking weed, like just sitting there. Like it was like I was bad. I was very, very depressed. So that wasn't a lie at all. But I definitely wasn't saying I'm on drugs either.
right.
Right, because one thing is your fault and one thing you're a victim of.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So, yeah, I tell her I'm depressed, whatever. I told her I haven't been going to college. I'm sorry. And I go back home. And I don't know what I didn't have one. I didn't have a plan or anything. Like, they just let me come home because I guess they could see how bad it was. Like, my face was sunk in and all that.
Right.
But, yeah, so I go back home and, like, I just continue, obviously, because now I'm, like, right next door to the guy I was buying that from. And then I started kind of getting into, like, you know, like, more drugs. Like, I would be, like, you know, I started just, like, and don't get me wrong, I wasn't kind of all over the place here, but I wasn't just doing meth and weed at all. Like, I was dabbling in a bunch of stuff. Like,
Polysubstance abuse.
yeah, like I
Right,
was,
right.
like 100%. But anyways, I'm abusing drugs very heavily. When I come back, I'm doing like what I do. I don't even know what I did for work. I think I worked at my granddad's restaurant a little bit, and I would be like super high there every single day. I would. Why can't I think? I don't really think I kept on telling my mom I was like looking for a job or gonna do this, and I was kind of just like roaming the streets, like going different places. I was kind of like just. I've never been like a partier, but like I was partying, so to speak. Like I would travel up to like Oxford and like hang out with one of my friends up there, and I would just do drugs. I'd go down to New Orleans, and I had 2 friends that lived there. And I would just
That's that college life.
do drugs.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
I was just kind of like I wasn't doing anything except for like stuff.
Futon crashing.
Yeah, literally. Like I would stay at my grandmother's house a lot too, and also do drugs there, like right under her roof. And again, like it's hard to hide when you're doing like drugs. Like you can't hide that very well.
Right.
So I mean, again,
You may think you are.
yeah, but you're not. And they all were very worried, very concerned. So when was it? It was when did I go into there? March something.
This is when you went to the treatment center?
This is my first one.
Okay.
March, I feel like March, June. Yeah, it was like March something because I got out June 4th, I think. And it was like 3 months. So, they like confront me, and I was like really depressed. I came off like a really bad run. I remember like driving back from Oxford and like going into my grandmother's house, and like it was like late, I think. And I remember like having some Xanax, and I would like took a couple up and I went to sleep. And I wake up and like I look out the window of like the thing, and like I see like my family's vehicles there. And I'm like, something's going on.
Right,
Like
something
I
feel
had that
right.
feeling, like I knew that something was happening. And of course, like they were all there, and they were doing an intervention on me. Like they brought me out, and it was super awkward. And obviously, I was pissed. Like I started like raging, like just going crazy because I was also in a Xan rage, like benzo, and I had like taken some that night before, so I was just kind of out of it. And I went in there, like destroyed my closet and this, that, and whatever.
Acting a fool.
Yeah, acting a fool. And I don't know if it was that day or later. I honestly couldn't tell you. But that's when I went to my first treatment center in Austin, Texas, called Spearhead Lodge. Now, that was in March. The year before in like November, I went to this place in Houston, Texas called Flowers Institute, and it's like a 1 week thing, and it's not really a rehab, but they do like, it's a bunch of mental, you meet with a bunch of psychiatrists and this, that. That was just 7 days, and I did that before, but like my first treatment center was that March. I was there for 3 months.
Inpatient.
Yes, it was right when COVID came out too.
Wow.
So like we could not leave that building. Like that's where we were.
Right,
like it,
right.
it sucked really bad. So I was there. I do my time there. I get out and I go to this on Ridgewood Road. There's this sober living called Linwood.
Mhm.
I don't know if you.
We're familiar.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, like I was there, and so this is when I start dabbling with opiates. So kind of. So the first like 2 months, I'm back home or at Linwood and back in Flowwood from the Austin, Texas Treatment Center. I was sober, kind of. I was like abusing the medicine I was prescribed here and there.
Sober adjacent.
Yeah, I was like sober living, like
Ish.
sober living, getting high.
Enough
like
to get by.
yeah, like I had a gabapentin prescription, and I would like stagger the pills like every 30 minutes and like drink it with a soda because it would like make it hit. I was doing all these little
Right.
things like that. So yeah, that was like happening for about a month, and then acid and mushrooms don't show up on a regular drug screen. So I would like, take acid and mushrooms sometimes and whatever because again, like it just
Man, if somebody described for me like a good time, mushrooms at a sober living house would not be.
Yeah, no, that would be.
I know. And no, I wasn't when I just lived there. I didn't like you didn't have to be there at all times. Like I slept there. I was gone all day. So
Right,
like
right.
I was
Tripping your balls off.
yeah, like but like any like tripping in any sense in a sober area is a terrible idea. I agree.
Sure.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have done it if I had to be like there because you're already paranoid and all like weird on psychedelics. So yeah, no, I would like I left and would do it. And I'd be gone during the day, and I was like kind of microdosing. And I started working at this screen printing shop, like printing shirts. I remember like taking little tiny pieces of like acid and microdosing throughout the day and whatever. And let's see. Oh, and then I discover like kratom, and
I was about to say, when you were talking about doing your gabapentin, I thought you were wearing that kratom out, weren't you?
yeah. So
It's Viva Zen all day long,
yeah.
isn't
So
it?
that was actually the first one I did, and honestly, I didn't really know I was gonna get in trouble for this. Like, genuinely, I didn't know because it was a little 5-hour energy shot, and it was like Viva Zen, whatever, like a fire, and it was right
Look,
beside.
I used to buy Viva Zen by the case.
Yeah,
What is it?
it's a kratom.
I've never tried kratom.
It's like
It's like,
opiate
it's
analog.
hydrocodone's baby brother.
And
Does it
it's-
make you feel anything?
A little bit.
It,
A little
dude,
bit.
I'm telling you, people get bad off on kratom. Like the withdrawals are gnarly too.
Really?
The withdrawal, like if you're taking like dry scoop in the powder, like yeah, it really can get you like super high. I've experienced and like I know, and the withdrawals are bad. But anyways, like I bought this little thing, and I was also in an IOP. I can't in this area. I can't remember what it was called. I had to go like 3 times a week for 3 hours, which sucked. I hated it.
Bridge, Three Rivers.
Maybe it was that one, the first one,
Bridge to recovery?
That's what it was. Bridge
Yeah.
to recovery. I was there, and they drug tested me, obviously, and because that was like a requirement at the sober living the first like couple months you're there.
Right.
So again, I took that little energy shot thing, and I didn't think that was gonna get me in trouble, but I remember the lady like bringing in my dad and my mom and like telling me, I'm like, what's going on? Like I don't think I've done anything. And I was doing like sketchy stuff still, but like I couldn't put my finger on what she was bringing me in here for. And I had just been out of that rehab for 3 months for like it'd been like a month or two, probably 2 months. So I was like fresh back into like, or it seemed like it. And this lady was like saying that, I filled for kratom and that like 100% need to go back to rehab right then. Like she was
Wow.
selling it to my mom, and I was like freaking out.
So they can test for kratom? Does it pop up as
Yes.
opiates?
Yes. Oh, no, it pops up for kratom.
Oh, so it's its own category?
The rehab I work for now, like you have to get like a fentanyl dipstick.
Right.
Like you have to do a kratom dipstick
Oh,
too.
wow.
Because again, it's just like
It's that serious of a problem.
it's just an opiate like analog. It's like
Okay.
a similar but not full blown opiate antagonist.
Got it.
But yeah, like I was genuinely pleading my case. Like I did not know that this would. Basically, I didn't know how this would show up on a drug test. I'm sorry, like,
Right,
you
right.
know. But and
Damn, they got me.
yeah, like
Damn.
I was, and honestly, like it didn't really even.
Damn.
That little Viva Zen shot, it didn't really do anything because I just did one of them. So I didn't like. I was like, this totally was not worth it.
Right.
So yeah, and I convinced my parents to let me not go back to rehab, and somehow I squirmed my way out of that place. Like I ended up like leaving
At a
and-
bridge?
Yes, I hated that. That was miserable for me. Like just sitting in that little room for 3 hours, like
Right.
miserable. So
Talking about your feelings.
yeah, dude, that was so bad. But anyways, doing that. I still am in Linwood though, and
I can't believe I didn't bounce you out of Linwood.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
You dodged a bullet there.
They
Look, let's get to when you go to treatment. I want to get to when it gets good.
okay. So I'll just fast forward. I begin doing like pain pills, like the little Roxy's.
Right.
Okay,
right,
like
right.
doing those all the time. I love those, and I'm doing meth too. Cause I like after that kratom thing, and once I leave Linwood, cause I ended up leaving Linwood because I failed for kratom again.
Okay.
Yeah, so that happened. I start doing like drugs like bad. Like I'm like doing all off those like blue inbox 30s. Doing meth all the time, like super high, taking
Smoking
Xanax.
it, eating it, snorting it,
Yeah, so I would
shooting it.
I got like obsessed with like the process because it really like kind of like it's wasteful almost to smoke it, which is terrible. But like
No, I agree. Yeah.
it's just I enjoyed smoking those little Roxy's for whatever reason. Like I was addicted to the process,
Right.
so I was smoking those.
It's very
Please,
common with
for
IVs
the love of
too,
God,
right?
don't ever shoot up.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah.
Because there's a whole mystique that comes with
Right.
being an IV drug user.
That's another, and I don't want to. Anyways, well,
I understand.
Yeah. So,
yeah.
yeah, I was doing those blues, and I'm doing a bunch of meth, and I'm taking Xanax periodically because I would like stay up for a couple of days and be
But
like,
you got to land the plane.
yeah, like so I would pop some bars every now and then, and I was just strung out. Like the definition of strung out is a picture of me in this. Like I was so bad. Like I look back at pictures sometimes, and I was like, oh my god, it really it's scary, dude. I looked like a completely different person.
Was the self-hatred there, or how were you feeling about yourself?
I don't even
Numb.
I was just completely like I didn't even exist. Like seriously, like once I got sober and came out of it, and like people like remind me of little things, like Brianne will like say something, and I'll kind of like remember that, or like my mom will like remind me of an incident. I'll be like, oh my god, I completely forgot about that. That's so embarrassing.
Right.
But anyways, the Roxy's, those things are like $30 a pill.
Right.
So I'm like, my homie, the same one that sold me that Molly, the same one that got me on the Molly,
The
same,
meth Molly.
yeah, the same dude. He says, "Hey, bro, you can get some of this dog food for talking about heroin." He called it dog food, and I thought it was.
He's
funny.
not the only one that calls it that.
Yeah, it's like a thing, but I didn't know what it was because I wasn't into opiates like that. He said you can get this for way cheaper, obviously, because you're not spending money on those pressed, and they have fentanyl in them anyway.
Right.
That's all they are. So, anyways, then I just started doing straight heroin or fentanyl. I'm buying so I've completely graduated from the pills. The pills are no longer like I'm doing just heroin, which is fentanyl now. There's no actual heroin, and I'm doing meth. And again, get super strung out really bad, and I'll get to like the treatment part now. I never did coke really. Like I did it when people had it, but so one of my friends got some coke from this plug that I'd put him on to kind of. Everybody called him Street. That's it. And he like called me or texted me one time, and this was like the day of everything went terrible. I was like blacked out on Xanax, like really bad. I'd been up the whole entire night before. I was like running around, like doing something. I don't know what I was even doing. I was driving around Jackson. My friend calls me and says, "Hey, I got some coke from Street. And it's kind of weird. Like I'm about to meet up with you. I want you to hit some of this and see what because he was saying it burnt his nose, and coke really doesn't do that. And he was just sketched out about it, as far as I can remember.
And what a good friend.
I know, right?
I think this is some bunk shit. Will you come do it with
Yeah,
me?
well, he was like, come here and see, like, I don't know. And again, I was blacked out, like, bad. Like, that whole night before, I somehow had, like, been, like, rummaging through my grandparents' attic, like, taking out, like, all their files and, like, stringing it out. So I was, like,
We've all been there, too.
for real, like, the last, like, 2 weeks leading up to this, where I'm telling right now, was, like, completely blur, like, blackout. So I really don't know exactly how we linked up, but it was something to do with the coke he bought, and he wanted me to do something. So I get there, we get in, him and one other person get in my car, and we're doing something, and Brienne was with me, and I remember not wanting her to see something, so we get like this interaction, and because first I was so strung out, but I never wanted her to actually like see me actually do it. You know what I
Right.
mean? So I remember going to his car, and the girl that he was with and Brienne were sitting in my car, and I run over there, and we have it's just super weird too. We have a stop sign, like from like a whole ass stop sign,
Right.
and we're busting down lines on that thing, and from this point on, I don't really, I'm out of it, but this is like from other people, from Brienne. And so apparently I did that line, and I vaguely remember doing it. And I think I just kind of, like, I go out a little bit. Like, I'm like completely like nodding in and out. And this was coke, supposed to be. And I started like nodding in and out. I was out of it. And all of a sudden I completely am just like, I'm like fall out, like overdosed. And this dude that I'm with, like, goes and, like, says to Brienne, like, something's wrong with Lake. So, according to Brienne, like, she, like, got me, threw me in my car, drove me to it's driving me to the hospital. Now, this day, my mom and my grandparents were on to me. They knew something was up with me because I was so strung out. So, they had, according to them, like, they just knew something bad was going to happen. And this is super weird. But they had sent my granddad and my dad out to find me because they're still tracking me on Life 360.
Right.
So as I'm overdosed in the passenger seat, like Brand's like whipping the car through Jackson, my granddad and my dad pull up at the stop sign or the red light where I'm at, and they see me like falling out. So in the middle of the road, they like, my dad gets out of the truck they're in, runs to my car, puts Brandon in the back seat, gets in that car. They, like, skirt off to the hospital. They take me to the hospital, and obviously I had overdosed. And basically, they all swear, like, that saved my life because I was, like, super close. But, like, if they wouldn't have seen me at the red light or this or that, whatever it is, like, it really was a miracle that they saw me and found me. They take me to the hospital, and I remember like coming to because after they had Narcaned me and all that stuff. And I remember like coming to, and I remember being in the hospital, and I don't remember the past 2 weeks of my life.
Were
Literally.
you angry?
So yeah, like right when I come to, I'm like freaking out, and I remember saying like, "Is Brianne okay?" Because my first thought was I got into a car wreck or something.
Right.
I don't know why. I was just freaking out about her because I just wake up in the hospital. I have no clue what's going on. Didn't even probably know my name. But I just thought about her, and I was like, I don't know. I freaked out. They're like, "Yeah, it's okay." And I remember my dad being like you overdosed, like you basically died. And at that point, I knew I was like, okay, I'm 100% going to rehab now. Like,
Right.
got to. So, I go to a detox. I'm kind of gonna like speed up because I feel like I'm just rambling.
No, you're good.
But I go to a detox called Bradford in Monroe, Alabama. And I stay there for like 14 days. And the days I'm there, they're kind of like getting me ready to go to this place in Opelika, Alabama, right by Auburn, called the Reprieve. It's like a big time, like it's a pretty big rehab. It's one of the 3-phase system rehabs. They have like first phase, second. It's
Right.
a year in total.
Wow.
So they had planned the whole time I was there at the detox to like eventually go there. So I'm at the detox doing my thing, whatever. Felt obviously like shit, so sick. The days come up and it's time to go to the Reprieve. So I go to the Reprieve, and I'm there for, and this starts my little getting kicked out like run. So after all that stuff, after I overdosed, ran my life into the ground, quite literally, like I was like a nasty junkie, like it was bad. After all that, I still, I guess, wasn't done doing my thing. So I'm at the Reprieve, and I got a hold of like a bunch of Xanax bars, and I was using them while I was
In the
there.
treatment center.
In the treatment center. Because so again, it was a year program. So some of the guys had phones. So, I linked up with one of the guys, and we just figured something out, and he was from the area, and he was actually like used to like sell weed here and there. So we got like a shit ton of Xanax. And we're taking it, and if people were doing Xanax, like people can start to tell. You get sloppy and belligerent.
Right.
So you better say something.
No, no,
Oh, I
no,
thought.
no.
They find out. They're like, you have to leave. They were kicking me out, and I'm like, I remember just being like, screw y'all, I'm leaving.
Yeah, that filter that keeps us from saying and doing awful things
Mm-hmm.
is deleted
Right.
with Xanax.
Yeah, like your inhibitions are like.
Yeah.
Yeah, out the door.
So I like run off that night after they caught me. I run off. I'm like walking down the road with my backpack and this, and I have like a big book with like a bunch of numbers in it from the Bradford detox. And I call one of the dudes, and somehow he answers. He comes, scoops me up, and I tell him what's going on. And this dude, he was actually being like kind of a good friend. Like he was like, bro, like you need to go back, like because he was still sober. I remember him being like, you need to go back, talking to me this, and I'd end up getting in touch with my mom on his phone, and they were like, my mom was like begging me to go back, so I was like, whatever, I'll go back, I'll stay the night there, and then I had to leave either way, but they just wanted me to sleep there and not sleep on the street.
Right.
So I end up going back, and I sleep there that night, and I wake up the next morning, and they called me an Uber to Twin Lakes, which is in Monroe, Georgia, and I go there, and this was also, it only lasted like 14, 15 days. I was there. I still wasn't done. I was being sneaky the whole time I was there. Some dude drove his car to Twin Lakes. So he had his car parked out front, and he was swearing up and down, which people talk in rehab. They just,
Yeah.
he was swearing up and down that he had,
Yeah, everybody's Pablo Escobar.
yeah, exactly. And he was swearing up and down that he had like the best heroin you've ever seen. It's a brown rock. Like it's like he was saying how awesome it was. I was like, this dude has to be full of shit. But we were gonna try. I was interested either way. And this dude, it was like 3 of us. We ended up working out some scheme because his car doors were locked. So he had told one of the techs there that like he had to get something out of his car, and he unlocked it, and he left it unlocked. We go. The dude Matt, he goes and like gets it out of the car for us and brings it up, And sure enough, the dude wasn't lying. It was crazy. Like, it was a huge chunk of, like, heroin. And literally within 2 hours of us getting it and us getting super high, we get caught. All three of us get busted, taken down there. They drug tested us. We fail. They're like, telling us we're getting kicked out. I remember the lady that works there is super cool. Her name's Miss Tracy. She still works there. She like made me call my mom, and I was like, I do not want to talk to my mom. And I called, and this is like I'd been kicked out like twice. This is like the second time. This is the third rehab I've been to, like Bradford, Reprieve, and now here. And again, this place is calling my mom, being like, he relapsed. He failed for heroin. He's getting kicked out. And I remember my mom was just like bawling, crying, like screaming, crying on the phone. And I felt terrible, obviously. Like, but then again, I was also like really high and like just I don't know. I kind of was just in like a screw it mindset. Like I don't know. So they're kicking me out. I had a little bit of that heroin in some tinfoil wrapped up again, like in my gooch under my thing. I still had it there, and this place tells me the same thing. They're like, okay, you have to sleep away from community. You have to sleep downstairs by yourself, and you're going to leave in the morning. And I was like, okay, cool. This rehab, you can't have vapes, so you can only smoke cigarettes. I was like, okay, cool. I was like, let me smoke a cigarette, and let me take my meds, and I'll go to bed, and I'll leave. They were like, we don't have a cigarette for you, and I didn't have a cigarette. And I was like, please go find one, and I need to smoke, and I'll go to sleep, and, I'll leave y'all alone, basically. And they, like, refused to give me one. So I was like, all right, for real, I'm out of here. Y'all won't even give me a cigarette. I'm leaving. I was like, give me my stuff. So they gave me my stuff, and
You showed them.
yeah, seriously. And I remember asking the dude, I was like, which way is the closest gas station? And he points that way. And it's like 11:30 at night at this time. He's like, that way. And I'm like, okay. So I started walking. I have a suitcase, dragging a suitcase and a backpack. And it starts to rain a little bit. And I'm walking along. Because it's in the, have you ever been out to Twin Lakes? It's like in the Monroe.
Wherever, Georgia?
Yeah, it's like in the middle of,
No.
so the closest gas station wasn't really close. And it starts to kind of rain, and I'm dragging the stuff, and I'm miserable.
I bet you are.
Yeah, dude, I was so miserable. And it's funny, I left because I couldn't smoke a cigarette. I still didn't have a cigarette when I left. Like, I never got one. So it starts raining, so I pull up on this, like, boat dealership, and I, like, pop one of the tarps and throw my suitcase under it and close it, and I keep walking. So I'm like, I'll come back for it, whatever. I don't know what I was thinking. So I get to this gas station. I'm sitting outside the little, the thing they have ice in, like and I'm sitting right there, and I'm pull out this heroin, and I'm doing a little bit of it, and all of a sudden, a cop pulls into the gas station.
I wondered, I'm like, how has this kid not been arrested yet?
Okay, so yeah, a cop pulls in, and my mom, Twin Lakes
has called the cops on you?
So Twin Lakes called my mom and said he just left, and my mom will tell you this. She was livid at the rehab. She was like, you just let my son walk off at almost midnight, high on heroin, and obviously like mad at the world. Like, why would y'all let him leave?
Your skills of talking people into things must be
Extraordinary.
superior to how you have been able to get back inside these treatment facilities after you've left is astonishing. But that you have heroin in one of them, I mean, you're a magician.
Well, I didn't have. I mean, the dude brought it in. You know what I mean? Like guess
but you were in the treatment center, with heroin in your possession, and if you had not gotten uppity about the cigarette, you would have had the heroin there with you that night.
Yes, I would have, and I planned on using it. But
I'm sure you did.
They searched me up and down, and Miss Tracy.
Oh, but you had it in your gooch.
She said, she was telling me, she was like talking to somebody. She was like, I know he has it in his in his butt under his what, and she was like, I'll strip him down right now if y'all give me the word. Tracy, this Miss Tracy lady, she's like hardcore, like the biggest meth
She's
plug.
fixing to get up in there.
She has an ankle monitor on. Like she's like about it. Like she's gangster. She like was in prison for a long time. She was saying all that, but they wouldn't let her like strip me. And I was telling her, I was like, you're not stripping me because obviously I didn't want her to take that from me.
Right.
So I was telling her that either way, but that's the only way I got away with it because I had it in there, and she knew. She was saying, "I know you have it." But anyways, my mom, when Twin Lakes called my mom and told them that I left, my mom immediately called the local like police department or something and explained the situation to them. My son is very bad off right now. You know, he needs help. He just ran from this rehab. Like, please get him, do something. At this point, you know, I left at probably like 11:30, and I had walked a long time. So it's probably like a little after midnight, 12:30, when this cop pulls up. And luckily, he was a super cool cop, believe it or not. He was really nice. I forgot. I need to backtrack. I was using that heroin. When I see the cop pull up, I fold it up in the tinfoil and throw it under the ice box thing.
But you keep an eye on where it went.
Yeah.
I threw it. No, that was the last time I ever.
I will circle around.
That was the last drug I ever did. So I throw it in that under that ice thing. He pulls up. He's super cool. He gives me like peanut butter crackers and a water because I was starving, and he takes me back to the jail, and just like keeps me there, like holding. He didn't like arrest me or anything.
You
like
are anointed, is all I can say.
I think it had something to do with my mom. Like, I guess and again,
There's
he was,
no doubt. There's no doubt.
Yeah, because if he would have just
God was
seen,
looking out for you through your
God
mom.
is
like,
working in your life.
yeah.
Yeah,
I
dude.
mean,
There's
in
no
ways
doubt, bro.
that
There's no doubt.
I don't know.
I know.
No,
I'm
yeah,
telling
no,
you.
I know. It has to be that.
Yeah.
That is the case.
I mean, your mom was persistent, but if it weren't for the right cop, the right,
This is
everything,
where it gets crazy.
Everything had to line up. Go on.
I just said this is where it gets crazy, like it hadn't been, but this is so. It's super late at night, and my mom is like frantically calling rehabs, trying to find one to put me in. Like, you know, it's late, so some of these rehabs aren't answering. She can't get a hold of a real person. Like,
She's in crisis mode.
she is like mom will say, like, she was just like blowing up all these rehabs. Somehow, Daniel Garner, who's like the director of marketing, and does all like he speaks to parents at Good Landing, for some reason answered the phone that late. And
God.
yes.
Yeah, and that was
God.
probably like he probably like never answers his phone, but something was like, I need to answer this.
Yeah, dude. So he answered the phone, and then not only did he answer the phone, he put out, because now I know because I work there, but we have like a staff like group chat, and we have one that like has like clinical stuff and one for the house managers and whatnot. So he put out in the group chat, hey, there's a client or a person in Monroe, Georgia. He's at the jail. His mom just called. Can somebody go and pick him up? And at this point, it's probably 1:15. Like, it's just getting later. And this dude, who is freaking awesome, that still works there, his name's Jamicio, he was freaking awake and willing to come get me and drive 45 minutes out to get me. So he came, he answered the text, said, I'll do it. He came and picked me up from that jail. And I remember sitting in there, like, I was soaking wet because it had been raining.
Right.
I was, like, freezing, just, like, sitting there. I looked like the scum of the earth, literally.
Sure.
And I remember seeing this huge black dude walk in. And I'm like, who is this guy? And he's like, come on, your mom called and you're getting picked up. And I was like, whatever. I just went with him.
Right,
Like,
right.
Mom.
he had no, like, I agreed, I guess. And I remember him giving me like a whole entire pack of green American spirits, and I had like been dying for some nicotine, so I like was smoking those down. And
You finally got that cigarette.
finally
Yeah,
got
you
it,
got the
and
cigarette.
that was like 4, I don't know, a long time later.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jamicio picks me up. He takes me back, and I remember on the van ride, because he picked me up in a van, on the van ride to the apartment complex, I remember sitting there, and I was, like, just thinking, because I was super tired, too. I remember just sitting there thinking, and I was like, okay, like, I just got kicked out of, like, 2, 3 rehabs back-to-back. Like, and I was like, this is miserable. Like, the past 2 hours, 3 hours of my life has been hell. Like, sure, I'm high on heroin right now because I was. This sucks. Like, it's not fun anymore.
Right.
I'm miserable. Like,
It ceased to serve its purpose.
yeah, it was just like I was miserable as it gets. So I remember like in that van thinking, I was like, you know what, I'm actually going to not do anything sketchy. And also what kind of sold me too is I knew if I messed up at that place, my mom would send me to another rehab, and I didn't want to mess up because I asked Shamisio, I'm like, hey, so what about the phone deal? He was like, yeah, you can get your phone in 2 weeks. And I was like, oh, shit. I was like,
Right.
okay, I'm going to stay here because all the other places, like, you don't have a phone, like, the whole 3 months. So I was just expecting that.
Right.
So I was like, yeah, I'm going to really take this place serious. And so that night I decided, I was like, I'm not going to do anything sketchy. I'm not going to do anything I shouldn't. I'm going to 100% do the right thing. And I did. And, yeah, I mean, it's been like a year and 5 months, I think now. But let's see. Let me think. What was I about to
Let me just interject something. So you just mentioned how, I know my mom's going to send me to another place, blah, blah, blah. Let me tell you, if you persist in your folly, you will come to a time where your mom isn't going to send you any more places.
Yeah.
Right.
Because your mom isn't going to answer the telephone.
I know.
And it's, and I reached that place in my own life.
Yeah.
Where they're not willing to help anymore.
Yeah.
And it's scary in a different way. I promise when I go to bed tonight, I'm going to pray that you recognize what a positive influence you could be for other young people in recovery. I mean,
Absolutely.
your stories, this is astonishing. I mean, you've really gotten bad off at a pretty young age.
Yeah.
And
How old are you again?
I'm 22. I just turned
22.
22. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I mean,
That's
it
awesome.
took me a long time to recognize that I've absolutely got that thing
Right.
that makes me addicted to things.
Right. So let's segue into this. We know what it was like for you now. What's it like today?
It's crazy because I like think about it sometimes, and I'm like, I am like two completely different people. Like, like if you just had like a version of me that was how I was, say, just 2 years ago, like, I don't know, my like whole, and this is something that slowly kind of changed, but like, every now and then, I mean, everybody does this, even once you're like 4 years sober, but like you have like those little like initial thoughts of something, and then you're like, wait, why am I thinking that? You know what I mean?
Right.
It's like every now and then I'll do that, but I'm very easily able to like, no, I'm not going to do that. And before, I just acted on it right away. So that's one.
Better impulse control.
Yes,
Right.
like that's.
Better playing the tape through.
Yes.
All those things we're taught.
And I guess one reason could be like, like I see what I have now and how much better everything is. Like, like this. Doing drugs is so not worth like how good my life is right now. I don't know. It just I don't know. I'm in a really good spot, and I'm very lucky to have the job I have. Because again, if I wouldn't,
You're lucky to be alive.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
There's no doubt
100%.
about that.
definitely. But like I'm like I've said this before. I'm so thankful that dude drove himself to Twin Lakes and brought in that heroin, and I'm so glad I relapsed on it, and I'm so glad I left Twin Lakes that night, and I'm so glad I walked left, and I'm so glad that my mom called 100 rehabs and that place answered. Like, I'm so glad, because like if that weren't the case, like I have no like. There's no way I would be like a case manager at like one of the biggest.
Yeah, I'm
PhD
glad you
out
get to be the Jamisio for the next man.
And
Right.
the funny thing is I do that. Like, I've been, like, and my mom always says that, like, he was doing the same thing for you, but I have to go and pick up people at 3, 4 in the morning from the hospital, this and that. So it's crazy, but, like, I have.
Well, not just in the way that he picked you up, but that you can be that
Do the-
person
Right.
who gives back to the next man.
And then when I'm picking somebody up, I can be like, I was in that same position. They can one day be
Exactly.
and it can just be a
My
continued-
backpack's still in that boat under that tarp.
Yeah, seriously. Oh, yeah, and the cop did save me by to pick it up. But, yeah, I just think that I'm like, dang, like, I would have never been, like I don't know, I really do feel, like, super lucky for everything that, I have, and, like, grateful, and, like, just amazed at, like, the past, like 5 years of my life, I should not be where I am right now. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I'm just in a, I don't know, I'm super lucky, and I love my job, and I feel like it's a really good opportunity. It's, I actually like it, like, it's cool to enjoy doing what you do, and I think, it has a bunch of opportunities in that field, so.
Let me just
caution you with one thing, and this is someone that's very close to me that worked at a treatment facility for 10 years, who is in sobriety. This person, they used the working at the treatment facility as their program. So what I'm trying to say is be very appreciative and grateful for your work, but your work is not your program.
Amen.
You need to work a program outside of work
Yes.
in order to stay sane and happy.
You were 100% correct, because I've noticed that with people, and I've said that before. Like, just because you work there doesn't mean that, like, you know, you can completely forget about all the principles you
Right.
followed.
And it's easy to do that because,
Oh,
I'm around this all day.
Yeah, like-
I'm around people in recovery all day.
So this
no,
is-
that's not working a program.
I agree. I know. You're 100% right, and that's something that you have to be very aware of. Because my job is like it's 24/7. Like, there's no hours. Like,
Right.
Because I'm doing like case management and whatnot, but like I kind of like by default double as like I live in an apartment with dudes, so I'm like also the house manager, which that's the type of job that you're having to go pick up people super late and do all this stuff. So that part, you know, it's 24/7. So I really am like around rehab stuff like all the time. So that is something easy to do, but it is something that I'm like aware of, and I try not to, you know, let it completely like be the only thing that
Absolutely.
Look, I don't want to give you a big ego or anything here, but I mean, I've been around recovery for my entire adult life, and I can tell you, you've made some pretty impressive realizations about. I mean, I can sense from the things that you say. So, I really appreciate your willingness to come and talk about this, and and just appreciate what you're doing in Georgia and being involved in that recovery community.
Yeah.
Thank you a lot for.
I mean, I know it's so easy. I harp on my wife about this all the time. You know how, not harp on her, but I'm always talking about this. How when we're in recovery, it's so hard to figure out those things that we do that are good, right, just, that need to be expanded on, and to feel good about them, and to fight off that internal doubt that we all have. And I mean, you're doing awesome things, and you can continue to do awesome things.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Just stay on the path onward and upward.
Yep, thank you a lot for real. And I've really enjoyed coming here. I was actually like worried about coming and doing this. I didn't want to do this at all, but I am glad I did. So.
Well, I guarantee you that you've
It's
planted
been rewarding for me. I
Yeah,
hope it is
no doubt
ultimately
for
for
me.
you.
and you've planted seeds that may not be realized for years to come.
Mm-hmm.
But somebody heard something in your story that they're able to latch onto, and maybe one day down the line they may think, "Oh, I remember that guy Lake talking on that stupid podcast."
No, that podcast that had that vibey light.
Yeah, that wicked, awesome, vibey. In fact,
So
that's why I'm
we
sober.
have
is
an
the
internal
lights.
debate here at Recovery Lab about the propriety of our new light.
Yeah, if you like the lights, comment on the page.
This is going to really weigh on whether the lights continue.
Yeah, if you like the lights,
I have an opinion on it.
say Daniel, you're right.
Daniel has an opinion on it.
If you don't like the lights, say Drew, you're right.
You're right.
I think if it was just regular yellow light, like or white lights in here, it wouldn't be as
Right.
It feels comfortable in here.
Right. Almost
like it.
calming. Would you say calming?
Yeah, it's
Almost
calming, relaxing.
Yeah. We'll put we'll do a Twitter vote or
A
something like
vote,
that.
yeah.
Yeah.
You don't like it?
No,
I mean,
well, he's
the first pictures he showed me, it looked, it was unappealing to me. It was just a little too much.
I think
Do you want to tell
the
do you want
light
to tell the
blue-
listeners what you thought it looked?
My mom was listening to this. So, look, why don't you try it on? Show him
What?
Satan's butthole. With,
Okay. All right, hold on. All
he
right.
can control. It is pretty cool though. You
Yeah.
control with his phone.
All right, let's go here. Bright light. Let's
change
do
the colors and stuff.
Oh yeah.
multicolor.
Look, it's. You'll feel at home. You'll be like, oh, this is like base nectar in New Orleans.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Yeah, there
Ooh,
you
some of
go.
those makes your vision weird. Yeah.
Yeah. Do all sorts
I
of
used
good
to have
stuff.
my Apple HomePod connected to like my lights in my room, and I could be like,
Siri.
Yeah.
yeah, and like I could turn I had my lights all these different colors, but
Absolutely.
yeah, that light blue is
This
definitely
is
the best
this
one.
is
Yeah.
calming.
yeah, that's the
Yeah.
best one.
Yeah, I think we'll stick with it. I think I'm pretty sure that the majority of the individuals that are looking and
The majority of the
Looking
people
at this
that are
right
under,
now-
that are under 25
Oh,
are going
what's
to be
that?
like, man,
What's-
that's so rad.
let's take a poll from the audience. Audience, do you like the lights? There you go, ladies and gentlemen.
They love it.
All right, man. Thank you so much for coming.
dude.
Drew, do you have
Wartes.
anything else?
Thank y'all for having me.
All right, here we go, guys. Thank you so much, Lake.
Yeah, dude, that was fun. Wow.
All right. Now let's go here. Let's end live video.